Welcome back to the Neuro Finance Masterclass. Today, we enter month 2, and we're diving straight into a topic that's been called everything from digital gold to the future of money itself. We're talking, of course, about Bitcoin. So what actually gives it value, and how should a disciplined investor, an architect, even begin to think about it? Well, let's break it down.
In month 1, we built a really solid foundation on traditional assets, right? Things like the S&P 500. But from there, where do you look for growth? Well, inevitably, your attention is going to turn to the most disruptive, and let's be honest, the most debated asset class of our time, cryptocurrencies. And we have to start with the original, the one that kicked this whole thing off, Bitcoin.
So first things first, how should we approach Bitcoin? Look, it's so easy to get swept up in the hype or just dismiss it as some kind of fad. The key, for us, is to reframe it completely. At its core, Bitcoin isn't just a currency you trade, it's a technology. Think of it more like a mathematical protocol, one designed for a single purpose, transferring value. It's a system first and an investment second.
Okay, so that leads to the big question, right? Why does this string of code have any value at all? The answer isn't something you're going to find on a price chart. It's actually rooted in a really revolutionary concept that underpins the entire system, something called digital scarcity.
You know, before Bitcoin came along, this was basically considered impossible. Think about it. Any digital file, a song, a photo, a document, could be copied infinitely with zero cost. Bitcoin cracked this problem. It created something that is both digital and verifiably rare. And that, right there, is a genuine technological breakthrough.
And this chart just lays out that core difference perfectly. On one side, you've got traditional currencies, like the US dollar, that central banks can print in pretty much unlimited amounts, which, as we know, often leads to inflation. But then you look at the other side. You have Bitcoin. Its supply is literally hard-coded into the system, fixed forever at 21 million. No more, no less. Its issuance is controlled by math, not by a committee, which makes it deflationary by its very nature.
And that finite supply? That is precisely why you hear so many serious institutional investors call it digital gold. Just like physical gold, it has the potential to act as a hedge against the inflation, and frankly, the devaluation of traditional government-issued currencies.
Of course, if it were all that simple, everyone would be all in, right? And this brings us to the great paradox of crypto. This is the arena where your neuro-fitness, your emotional discipline, is going to be tested to its absolute extreme. We're talking about volatility.
Let's just be completely clear about the reality here. The price swings in this asset class are unlike anything you see in traditional markets. We're talking about gut-wrenching 50% drops and astronomical 500% gains, often in incredibly short periods of time. This is absolutely not for the faint of heart.
And this is exactly where your mindset becomes everything. An amateur investor, an emotional one, gets tossed around by these waves. They're driven by this intense fear of missing out on the way up and just absolute terror on the way down. But a disciplined architect, they reframe this entirely. They see the chaos as a volatility premium. It's the price you pay for the potential upside. It becomes something to be managed, not something to be feared.
So how do we manage it? I mean, how do you possibly incorporate such a wild, untamed asset into a calm, rational, long-term portfolio? Well, the key is a disciplined allocation. You don't bet the house, ever.
A really common framework for this is called the core satellite strategy. You can see it here. Crypto occupies the satellite position, a very, very small slice of the total portfolio. We're talking maybe 1 to 5%. The vast majority, the core, stays right where it should be, in solid foundational assets like the S&P 500.
I think this is the perfect metaphor for its role. Crypto is like high-octane fuel. It's not what the engine runs on day to day, right? Your financial life does not rely on it to survive. But when it's used correctly and in these small, controlled doses, it has the potential to seriously enhance your portfolio's overall performance.
But wait a second. What actually makes this fixed supply and digital scarcity even possible? Well, beyond scarcity, there's another crucial piece to this puzzle: decentralization. This simply means Bitcoin requires no bank, no government, no central authority or middleman to verify a transaction. It offers a really unique form of financial sovereignty.
And ultimately, if you really want to understand Bitcoin, you have to understand this fundamental shift in what we trust. Our traditional financial system, it's all built on trusting people and institutions. Bitcoin proposes a radical alternative, a system built on trusting transparent, verifiable mathematics.
So, all of this brings us to today's action plan. Now, the goal here is not to buy, sell, or trade anything. I want to be very clear about that.
The goal is purely intellectual. It's about starting your real education on this technology completely separate from the noise of the market.
Here is your task. It's 2 steps. First, for the next 24 hours, I want you to completely forget about the price. Don't look at the charts. This is so critical for separating the technology from the wild speculation. And second, use that time to research 2 core concepts. Blockchain, that's the underlying technology that makes it all work, and fixed supply, the very principle we've been talking about today.
And as you do your research, I want to leave you with this one final question to really think about. It's the question that sits at the very heart of this entire topic. In a world of seemingly infinite money printing, what is the value of an asset that can never, ever be inflated? That, right there, is the beginning of a real crypto education.